59. We cannot rest, we will not survive, unless we outlaw every private dollar given to politicians and candidates. Vote them all equal public campaign money instead. Any other system allows rich people hungry for treasury contracts and deadly anti-regulation to bribe leaders and buy media propaganda to twist the vast majority of elections to their special interests and against our public majority interests. Most of my speeches are full of the resulting murder and impending doom, right? Your next true story doesn't doom all 8 billion of us, but still should inspire your work for disarmament and democracy. On October 23, 2023, 40-year-old Maine resident Robert Card burst into a bar and grill and next a bowling alley to blow apart 18 people with AR-15 lead. One of thousands of mass murders with these weapons of war formerly outlawed in America until weapons sellers and boosters privately bribed a majority of legislators to re-legalize them. Murder Incorporated then poured 34 million 30 shots in 10 seconds assault guns into 18 and up American civilian hands. Hate propaganda did the rest, and now every day churches, schools, and commercial venues where humans to demonize gather are endlessly shot up by these super easy mass killers, to the everlasting grief and uncomprehension of tens of thousands of poor families. Like so many of these utterly lost first-time killers, Robert Card evidenced homicidal mental illness, delusions actually tailored to, triggered by America's cinematic, malicious, high-tech modern history, now media filling the most troubled minds with AR-15 slaughters of public enemies of private citizens. FYI, the AR-15 is the quick repeat shot semi-automatic version of the Army's M4 battle carbine, easily converted by world-available bump stocks to a light, portable, full machine gun. Exactly how the sicko sprayed a concert crowd from a Las Vegas hotel balcony, killing 55 in a few minutes. Mr. Card told his National Guard superior officer that he was having visions of shooting up his military place of work. They slapped him in a mental hospital for 2 weeks of assessment and treatment, then returned him to duty and subsequent free, unsupervised living. No law or judge was available in Maine to confiscate his house full of assault weapons, obviously deadly, remaining in the hands of a schizophrenic diagnosed with homicidal compulsions and delusions involving those exact weapons. The moral of this story is the answer to the question: what killed those 18 victims just as directly as the hail of flesh, organ, and bone-blasting bullets? No battle guns for civilian law revoked by weaponeer-bribed federal politicians, and safety laws for weapon confiscation from the violently mentally ill refused by state legislators, also under the influence of private gun dealer cash, hammering war on 100% of every gun control law ever considered. universal background checks, assault weapons bans, and red flag laws removing guns from people suffering from violent ideation mental illness are endorsed and desired by the vast majority of even fully armed Americans, and also favored worldwide among most nations not needing to pack 10% of America's more guns than people in every damn house on average. Reporters have asked most politicians, why do you keep voting against even bare-bones gun regulations demanded by 70 to 95% of your own voters? Laws proven, when implemented by some states, to slash the absolute hell out of the carnage. There are many answers I won't quote individually, but you will recognize this composite response and reasoning. Private campaign cash swings the vote, for or against me, to the winner. Weaponeer donor demands for business rewards back to them for that cash are ignored at my career-ending peril. My very first vote for any gun control immediately slashes a dangerous chunk of my total political ad buying money, suddenly and permanently delivering my former dollars to the most guns galore candidate they will run against me. If all candidate ad minutes were instead always equal, my popular, positive, persuasive messages would win. But any negative screamers and liars out commercialing me 3-1 are gonna kick my ass with sheer brainwashing repetition. Why do you think hatred and war have dominated the USA for 75 years? It pays, baby. Independent, persuadable by contending, factual argument, public opinion would choose the leaders who win those equal debates. But only in nations that required commercial, uncorrupted, equal time vote competition. Here, private money buys elections by twisting most brains to opinions only profiting the players. Never mind mortally endangering 90 to 100% of you suckers. My career ends the minute I diss the big money, always twisting up my weaponized everybody vote. Exactly why incumbents that 90% of voters are polled to believe are in the pockets of donors are then still brain-wiped to re-elect us incumbents 96% of the time. I'm a nice enough person who does what I can for public interest and safety. But with my job on the line, I always do what I'm told. Not by voters I cannot represent, only by the moneyed, commercial, private operators and deciders of our oligarchy, not democracy. You do notice that every word of Steve's is as much for your constitutional lawsuits hammering those judges as for your own private persuasion, haven't you? So send your computer-copied flash drive of my book to every federal judge on earth. Ready 'em for every suit you're gonna slam. So I still haven't convinced you of who your leaders really work for? Then you watch their behavior and money and just do the fourth grade math. From morning to night, they're supposed to hang out in federal offices, built with your money, collecting a salary you paid, working for you, right? There's even a law making them unable to swing any private deal, conduct any campaigning, or cease that public work for you on that clock and on that taxpayer-owned federal property. So they have to serve you, not the jackals, by law, Right? Wrong. You elected genius conspirators capable of crafting loopholes bigger than Mack trucks. The average, meaning damn near every American federal legislator, deliberately drives entirely off their serve the public workplace for 5 hours of each of their thus massively shrunken public work days to private off-federal property phone banks to dun money from their top rich repeat private donors and real bosses, negotiating with them thousands of hours over the single real issue. How do I, with my trillion-dollar buying power and million rule or no rule sweetheart regulation power, twist government away from helping the millions of voter suckers who don't bribe me, and shove all my infinitely powerful favor and money deep into the pockets and ambitions of you who do bribe me? My bottom line being just follow whatever totally corrupt orders I must to keep my campaign survival cash flowing. Your only worry, donor, is competing with the demands of my rather different other special interest private buck hammers. Now I got you on the line and hook with my question. Who pays me most? Pony up. What law would fix that? Keep 'em on the property and clock? They'd just scarf bribes for tax trillions payback nights and weekends. The very words donations and contributions are the big lies. Stop every bribe dollar. Got that? Sue, baby! In front of judges sworn to fight for our equal rights, public care, general welfare, not special interest constitution. The defendant's lawyers will claim that some small individual donors are clean, and the rest have the same constitutional right to express political opinion with money identical to free speech. We reply that little guy's speech, 100 times softer, without the big dog's partisan money, is our slavery, not equal rights and power. As a planet of the players surviving war victims damn well knows, and the tickled tyrants know even better, having designed the vicious robbery. Then they and their company bought Supreme Court lackeys, blew the dirty dollar spigot wide open directly to doomsday. You close it tight now. Every damn drop, including the $500 million corporation-bribed Federalist Society selecting federal and Supreme Court jackals, not justices. Your next story comes out of Venezuela, where President Maduro is a classic autocrat, ruling by force and crushing dissent and political opposition. He's desperate to keep his office because Venezuela's law enforcement branch is likely to try and convict him of numerous corruption and abuse of power crimes if and when the suffering nation can ever get him out of office. Where have you heard that story before? Like America and many other nations, their justice system still has a monarchy hangover. The king can do no wrong until he gets his head cut off. The modern vestige is presidents feel mighty free to commit monstrous crimes against citizen multitudes because the federal justice system he picks the leader of would just hate to bust the boss. Obviously because he scares his whole government silly. So everybody bullshits that his job is too highfalutin important to interrupt with any prosecution of the one crook essential to stop before he ruins everybody's life, right? Dozens of presidents 25,000 miles around are world-class crooks, thieving and abusing everywhere, meaning a fair election would dump them in a landslide. No problem, just outlaw your most dangerous challengers. Putin, Trump, and Netanyahu all savaged democratic rights to conduct or attempt government overthrow in their own crooked criminal behalf. Before I finish the Maduro horror story, likely to make him dictator for life, I'll suggest that we add a tenet to our Save the World and Our Family and Our Nation treaty that fully ends sitting politician immunity above the law just by crookedly clinging to the office these liars swore to fill while upholding every constitutional law. Condition of treaty entry. Sue in your nation to accomplish said justice before treaty adoption. Not anybody's international business, but only lawful presidents will also obey treaties. Myriads of criminal ones broke every single treaty ever made. Putin trashes every one that Russia made. This year, a sensational female challenger to Venezuela's President Maduro is polling light years ahead of him. No worries, he just ordered one of his fake bureaus to prohibit her candidacy for 15 years. Reporters asked for the list of her disqualifying crimes. We can't come up with any, but rules are rules. Powerful nations, including mine, plan to wreck Venezuela's economy with tough sanctions against marketing their oil if Maduro does not rescind his planned election theft. Would this be two continents' trump cards to rescue Venezuelan democracy, with a fair election to send the stinker packing? Not so fast. Maduro's 10 chess moves ahead. Why should I build my grateful nation's oil prosperity while the woman they love landslides my ass into a courtroom, jail cell, and maybe in front of a firing squad for all my crimes? When I got the power moves to outlaw my powerful challenger's candidacy until I figure out how to outlaw elections, period. Countries dying from such monstrous tyranny from one filthy boss can't even be counted on the fingers of pretty big families. In every one, folks, you're dead meat without your own internal resistance movements 10 times more complex, challenging, and flat dangerous than a dozen of my little agendas put together. Yet in every one of those countries, you heroes, in real fear of bullets through your windows, still fight for legal revolution. Who examines every structural tool of tyranny in your nation and proceeds with tough legal avenues to break them down with justice? By directing millions of new movement allies? Who and how? Not mine, your speeches and book gone viral. You'll need to win all of those good laws, but I can suggest one. Tyrants, even in commercial pretend democracies like mine, make every government department possible answer to bribed executives and legislators. Rules of public care and safety trashed without a thought except private advantage. So every nation must have a fully independent people's watchdog of top cabinet status and funding that examines day in and year out every executive's, legislators, and agency's public and private agenda, financing, and behavior. Compare their public care charters with actual performance. Look for any and all private interest cash, influence, or other sabotage that serves fat cats and screws the people. Ongoing research is essential. Who did every dollar in action help, and who got hurt? Some nations have begun such people's oversight. You build to full necessity. Even long past total public campaign finance law, the unrelenting conspirators will try to burrow far under the table to attempt again purchase of government. Just hide our tracks, baby. No lawful, effective government ever existed that allowed private domination. So close to 100% of doomsday's cause. 100% of our public reform failure will be you so much as blinking while the damn players sneak back to make another killing of us all. How must our watchdogs scrutinize legislators and executives? Their private investments can never be grown by their public power. What rather secret organizations are still, after strict law to prevent it, maneuvering to influence public policy and funding while creating publicity and power of politicians just happening to act in their commercial interest and away from public interest? Scan everyone's bank account and who legislation or regulation especially benefits. Tighten laws and rules to choke off ever-new shenanigans before they grow underground and nationwide like thousand-acre subsoil molds. Most tyrannies break vast numbers of obviously unenforced laws, not to mention their constitutions. Start by educating everyone with a TV and a computer. Every law we need starts with, "We're watching you, so behave." I'm starting to babble, sometimes hammering laws I've detailed before. About time for me to shut up. You take over. But how am I ever going to have a tenth as much fun when I'm no longer talking to you? I feel like radio talk show host Gil Gross, who signs off every night. "I'll be talking to you." War is drug addiction. When its armies, arsenals, power, and economic motives, hate propaganda, and each grossly sickening, murdering war itself keep magnifying all of these causes, forcing infinitely more battles across millions of lawless, lost technoplanets, most all stupid, non-civilization experiments committed rapid homicide and suicide by design. Yet our very neighbor from Alpha Centauri likely reformed, survived, and came to warn and inspire us. You. So not all, but definitely enough of you are going to press full anti-war and pro-survival law to save billions of us. Because, like me, you love all people, especially our children. You love their hopes and possibilities. And you actively, constructively hate needless suffering, man's inhumanity to man, and its resulting mass homicide and suicide. You'll be damned if you'll let them kill your family, So you're going to organize the world over to save all just to save you, smarty pants. Surviving and thriving on this 1,000% interdependent, bad leader wrecking planet will be consistently daunting, tough, and by the year scary and tragic. Just 1,000 times more fun than sitting, ignoring, suffering, and dying, right? Stand up and fight back, hero. Get your family, demanding that their several generations advance renewal of world caring in on the act. They're going to be all of our teachers. Take over from this one pathetic little fat-mouthed geezer. Regarding my radical legal prescription for our malady, you ask, how does your fix secure my family's future? Okay, let's just track cause and effect. War driving to nuclear today explodes. The third and fourth far worse decades of world drought will empty lakes and rivers. Freshwater replacement need is ignored. World and your family economy will head for depression as peace, water, and food vanish. The world spends $2.2 trillion for war annually, only to increase. So long as leaders win elections with ad money maximized with payments, actually hundreds of times smaller, from weapons companies in return for that $2.2 trillion. I say we stop the bribes from rich tax parasites to give peace and survival candidates a chance to win. They'll institute our plan to ditch weapons, make peace, and spend the death dollars instead on water sources, forest and farm irrigation, CO2 air scrubbing, and thus restore our peace, economy, food, and water. So in a few years, instead of your little girl crying in thirst and hunger while you wait for the mushroom cloud to end your suffering, she washes down a big supper while chattering about her career and family dreams. Do nothing. Automatic hell comes to your house. Jump on the plan. You save your world. Not so crazy, Steve. Method to his madness. I ask foundations to assist this war history dabbler to conduct a thorough examination of international and civil wars causes. How many would have happened if, prior to armed combat, parties with often valid complaints were bound by national and international law to maintain only forces and weapons necessary to control domestic crime and foreign invasion from just as defensively armed neighbors, and also lawfully bound to democracy without domestic oppression of unfavored religious or racial groups, and were granted political choices unmanipulated by any already rich, thieving national treasuries. Is not war mega weapons, tyranny, hate, and environmental destruction? Is not peace, disarmament, democracy, love, and environmental saving? Did I not design peace and survival law to end war? That you must institute worldwide to save your family?